Hi, Cyber Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain an American romance comedy film from 2004, titled 50 First Dates. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens as several women are telling friends and family about the amazing romance they just had in Hawaii. They are all very different, and all of them are talking about how they were swept off their feet by a charming local that they had a one-night stand with. But then the next day he couldn't see them anymore, and each one has a different reason why, like he was married, he was gay, etc. As last they all say that it was Henry. We meet Henry, who is explaining to yet another woman that he is really a secret agent, and has endangered his mission by revealing too much to her. He says he has to go, and jumps off the pier onto a moving jet ski, and says that he'll pay him to just keep going. Henry is really a veterinarian at a SeaWorld type park in Hawaii. He's stitching up the side of his native friend Ula, who was attacked by a shark. Ula is constantly followed by his numerous children, who are videotaping him. Ula plies Henry for details, saying that he lives vicariously through him. Henry explains in a roundabout way that he's commitment phobic, so one-night stands with tourist women are all he can handle. Suddenly Henry's assistant, Alexa, comes running in, shouting that there's a problem. The aquarium's walrus is sick. Henry makes Alexa dive into the water to test the temperature, and then when he pushes Walrus's belly, the walrus expels gallons of vomit all over Alexa, who seems unbothered. She leaves, and then Henry reveals that he did it just to get revenge over her eating his lunch, dancing around with a penguin. Later, he's riding on his own sailboat which looks old-fashioned and wooden. He's talking to himself about his plans to sail to Alaska to study the walruses, when the mast of the ship snaps in half and falls off. He takes a small motorboat back to land, where he winds up in a small cafe run by a large native woman Susie, and her brother Nick. He's waiting for the Coast Guard to come tow his boat when a light is flashed in his eyes. He looks over and sees that it's the sun reflected off a knife held by a beautiful girl sitting at another table, who's building a volcano out of her waffle. Henry then goes back to the aquarium, where he talks to Alexa about an old girlfriend in college who dumped him for her college advisor, which made him afraid of relationships. The next day, Henry goes to the cafe and there the beautiful girl is again, this time building a house out of her waffle, but she seems stumped by the door. Henry offers her a toothpick to use to make a door hinge. She offers him sit with her, and she notes that his hands smell like fish. He's embarrassed about it, but she says that she likes it because her father and brother are fishermen. She introduces herself as Lucy. Henry tells the truth about his job for once, and they flirt and get to know each other. As they're leaving, they make tentative plans to see each other again the next day, since that day she says is her father's birthday and they're going to pick a pineapple, a tradition that they have. Henry later goes for golfing with Ula and his kids, and Ula says that he got the phone number of a woman for Henry who's leaving the next day but wants to hook up with someone before that. Henry starts to say that he's not interested, and then hits his golf ball over a cliff. He climbs down and finds Lucy down on the beach, and she says that she came to see him and can't wait to see him next day. Henry starts to freak out, and it turns out that he was knocked unconscious by the golf ball and was just imagining it. He agrees to see the woman Ula was trying to get him together with. He goes out with the woman, a bubbly blonde who quickly downs a huge drink and who obviously wants to sleep with him, but he's still thinking about Lucy. He confesses that their drinks were non-alcoholic, and that he often seduces women just in town on vacation, and then makes excuses not to see them again. The woman asks if she can pretend he didn't just say that and sleep together anyway, but he declines and refers her to Alexa, who is sitting at the bar. The next day, as Henry gets in the cafe, Susie tells him that she needs to talk to him, but is distracted by another customer. Lucy enters and Henry sits down and starts to talk about how his hands smell like fish, but it all comes off sounding like crude innuendo and Lucy starts to freak out. Susie pulls him outside to tell him that over a year ago on her father's birthday, Lucy and her father was in a car accident. She had a head injury that makes it so that when she sleeps at night she forgets everything that happened the day before. All her memories before that are fine, even though she still thinks every day that it's her father's birthday. Lucy gets home back and tells her father happy birthday. He already has a pineapple. Her father has just painted his workshop, but it's too white, so he wants her to paint him a picture on the walls. As she goes out to paint, her father and brother take out a video of the game to put on. Lucy finishes the painting and they watch rugby video, then makes a pineapple cake for her father. She gives him a present, a video of The Sixth Sense. She asks them if they want to watch it and they agree. As she goes to her room, they go and toss out the extra cake, rewrap the video, and take a new pineapple out of the freezer, take a special newspaper made up from the day of her accident, and wash the clothes she wore that day. Then her father and brother take paint rollers and paint the wall white again. Henry then tell to Ulla about Lucy as they work on a ship, and Ulla says that it sounds like she's the perfect girl for him. They can have fun, and then the next day she won't remember anything, so he won't need to come up with weak excuses to not see her again. However, Henry can't get Lucy off his mind. Next morning, Henry goes to cafe and makes bet with Nick that he can get Lucy to talk to him again. He goes and makes Lucy a door for her Waffle House again, but this time she's irritated, asking if he comes from a planet where it's okay to touch other people's food. Next day, he tries sitting with her, but she brushes him off again, pretending she doesn't speak English. There's a whole montage of her dismissing him in various ways, until finally he pretends to cry while trying to read the menu. She asks him what's wrong and he sobs that he can't read. She tries to help him, and they start to leave together, but then he remembers his vision where she was getting clingy with him, and decides to leave. She asks him why he's suddenly not interested after pretending to not be able to read, and he realizes that she knew it was a put-on and tries to cover for himself, which makes her hurt and angry. She drives home and he follows her, guilty that he made her feel bad, but her father and brother come out to threaten him to stay away. They say if he goes back to cafe that they'll have Nick get him with the meat cleaver. Henry reluctantly agrees. Henry talks to Alexa about this at work. She advises Henry to follow the letter of what Lucy's father said, and don't see her at the cafe. Henry starts to stake out the road between the cafe and Lucy's house, coming up with all kinds of reasons to make her stop and talk to him, including getting a jump for his car, to stop a pretend robbery by Ulla who Lucy attacks with a baseball bat. They flirt and talk and get to know each other better each time, until finally Lucy's father and brother finds him. They say that once he's done with his fake kidnapping to come to the house. He does, and he asks what brought about their change of heart. The father tells him to look into the workshop where Lucy is painting while singing. He tells Henry that he noticed that she only sings on days when she's seen him, to songs that her mother used to listen to with him. The next day, he goes to the cafe to meet her again since now her father hasn't forbidden it, but Lucy catches sight of a cop writing her a ticket for expired registration. Lucy says that her registration doesn't expire until next year, but the cop points out the real date. Lucy grabs a newspaper and confirms the correct date and is confused and devastated. She races home and Henry races after her. She runs outside and starts to sob and shout. They hand her a portfolio of pictures of her from the accident, a newspaper article on it. She says that she needs to talk to the doctor to confirm it. They go to the head trauma and memory clinic, where her doctor confirms that her condition hasn't improved and is most likely permanent. She has inoperable scar tissue that is preventing her short-term memories from converting to long-term memories. They all go home and Lucy is starting to come to terms with her condition. She thanks Henry for being so kind to her and tells him the next day to talk to her about lilies. She's crazy about them. Henry then talks to her father about why they have to hide everything every day, and that there wouldn't be bad day if they were just upfront about her condition, but her father doesn't seem to think it's a good idea. The next day, Henry shows up with a bouquet of lilies for Lucy and a present from a secret admirer. The present turns out to be a videotape that sums up world events from the last year, and also her condition. She is torn up about it, but less so than the day before it seemed. Henry then takes her where her accident happened. They start to like each other. They start dating more formally, with her watching the tape every day and readjusting to the world. Later, they are walking on the beach, and she videotapes him and asks if he loves her. He waffles for a bit and then admits that he does, probably more than anyone has ever loved anyone else in the world. They kiss, and she sighs that first kisses are always the best. They date and kiss several more times, and each time she comments about how first kisses are the best. He starts to put more serious moves on her at the aquarium and she says that they just met, but he says that they've made out about 23 times now. They go out and see the walrus and Lucy asks the walrus if she should go to bed with Henry, and Henry gets the walrus to nod yes. They go back to his room and make out love. Later, he composes a song for her about how much he loves her. Then they go back to her house where they are falling asleep together. He sleepily asks her to marry him. She says that of course she will, and they fall asleep. The next morning they wake up and see each other, and she screams. She starts to attack him and he says that they're together, but she calls him a stalker and beans him with her baseball bat. Her father and brother come to his rescue. Later, doctor comes out and confirms that they're all right. Lucy is upstairs, and she overhears Henry talking about his dream to sail to Alaska for a year, but how he doesn't want to leave since it seems like Lucy is making progress and is almost remembering him. Lucy is very saddened by hearing them talk. She then goes out to see Henry, and tells him that she wants to break up. She says that it's not fair that he doesn't have time to do anything but get her to fall in love with him every day. She shows him her journal that she's been writing to herself. She asks him to help her edit it so that all references to him are removed, so she won't remember him at all. He is heartbroken, but he helps her do it, including when she said that their first time sleeping together didn't last long. Henry tries to go back to his normal life but keeps thinking about Lucy. He sees her with a tour group at the aquarium, but she clearly doesn't recognize him. Later, he gets ready to set sail on his finally finished boat. While Alexa and Ula and his children are there to say goodbye. Surprisingly, Lucy's father and brother also show up there. Lucy's father says that she went to live at the clinic a few weeks ago, saying she didn't want to burden them anymore. He gives Henry a present and wishes him good luck. After they leave, Henry opens the present. It's a CD of Lucy's favorite song. Henry starts to sail out and shouts about why he'd give him something that reminds him of Lucy, but then he thinks that maybe Lucy's father was trying to send him a message, saying that Lucy had remembered him. He turns the boat back, and runs over to the clinic to see her and asks if she knows who he is, but she doesn't. He starts to leave in despair, but she asks him to come with her. She takes him to her studio, which is covered with paintings and drawings of him. She says that she doesn't know him, but that she dreams about him every night. Henry tells her about their past relation, and that she left him, which was her mistake. They kiss, and the scene fades out on them together. Later, Lucy wakes up in a strange room. She sees a tape next to her. She puts it on and watches the usual tape about her condition, and at the end is a scene of her marrying Henry. At the end of the tape there's a title card saying that it's very cold outside, so she'll need to put on a coat before she goes out. She goes up and finds she's on Henry's boat, and that they're in icy waters off Alaska, where Lucy's father is fishing, and Henry introduces a little girl as their daughter. She amazed hugs her daughter and starts to cry with joy. Well, that's it for the day. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.